All right, so you stopped at this video because you want to know how to do a front brake replacement, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do it. Now, this is on the 2007 Toyota Highlander. This will work for basically most of the vehicles out there, except your Euros. Your Euros are going to be different than this vehicle, but same principle applies. So go ahead and remove your tire. All right, so now once you have your tire removed, you're going to need some tools, and probably one of the most important tools that you're going to need is you're going to need a hammer, because you're going to have to strike the rotor, especially if you live in a colder climate where they use salt and they treat the roads. So go ahead, let's get that up out of our way. Now, very important, make sure you have jack stands. Don't trust a jack. So let's go ahead, place a jack stand, and let's take a look what we got here. So here's our brake rotor, here's our caliper, here's our bracket, this is our bracket, and here is our pad that I am touching. Let's get right into this now. I mean, we do have a lip here, nothing serious, but all right, so let's go ahead and separate our brake caliper now from our brake bracket. Now, all these different bolts are going to have different sizes. Go ahead, break it loose, remove your screw, set your screw off to the side in a nice place where you're not going to lose it. Now, at this point, you may need a pry bar. Sometimes these calipers are just stuck to the pad. See, I can't lift it up, so what we're going to do now is grab a small pry bar. Here we go. I'm just using this screwdriver. We'll treat it as a small pry bar. And all you're really going to do now is just press up. I feel like this caliper's stuck. Something's up with this caliper right here. And the reason I know, see, it's not going back. Okay, good. All right, so now the brake caliper is up out of the way. And we're going to have to push this piston back. And now always check your slides. So these are your slide pins. You got to grease these, clean them, grease them, put them back. They should not be stuck or frozen. If they're stuck or frozen, you're gonna have to heat it up and remove it, or just get a new bracket, up to you. So these brake pads got plenty of life in them. However, the reason we're replacing these brakes today is because he has a nasty brake pulsation. Yeah, okay, all right, I see why. So the back of the rotors, definitely not up to par anymore. I'll show you once I take it off. But now what's important is we got to get a feel for this. We got to make sure that's going back. So anytime you guys are performing a brake replacement, it's always really good practice and better off, overall safe, to just do it like this. Pop the hood open. And once you pop the hood open, you're going to go to your master brake cylinder and you're just going to open the cap. Just like that. Open up your cap and give that fluid room to expand. Because as soon as we go to push this piston back in, that fluid level is going to rise.
And I got this for you.
Oh, cool. Nice. I like sparkling water. I'll try that out. That's good. That's good stuff.
Do you think I need a caliper?
Don't know. We're gonna find out.
Not yet.
We're gonna find out right now.
I'm going to get some cash.
Ah, I knew it. Hey, there it is. Come here.
Yeah.
This caliper is jammed. Go ahead, try. Give it a try.
Well, if you can, I probably...
Jammed. Completely jammed. Junk. So basically what happened here is there's a seal inside of this, and they swell, and they can swell so extreme that this piston won't move. So now we know why this wheel heated up, why you have the pulse, is because this caliper is staying applied.
Oh, yeah.
And that application to the rotor is causing it to overheat. And we already know what happens when metal overheats, right? It warps, distorts, and that's why you're getting that, okay? If it's the caliper that's bad or the brake hose that's bad right now. So I got to figure out which one's bad, the caliper or the brake hose. So it's one of the two. One of the two. It's either the hose or the caliper. We got to figure out why this brake caliper piston will not retract. The brake caliper piston will not go back in. So it's our job now to figure out if it's the caliper or the actual brake hose. So the first thing you want to do is just start off by breaking loose your banjo bolt right here. Okay, awesome. Now at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to try to retract the piston. If the piston retracts now, then we know that the caliper is good. So go ahead, put an old brake pad there and try to retract the piston. Piston is jammed. It is absolutely jammed. It is frozen. It will not go back in. And we have it disconnected from the hose. So we know right off the bat that this brake caliper is no good anymore. It is junk, no bueno. And what causes this is the seal inside of here. There's like a big O-ring, and when that swells, the piston gets jammed and can't go in and out. Now, we could get a rebuild kit for it, but unfortunately we don't have that luxury or that time. Man needs the car right away, and no one just has a rebuild kit just sitting at the parts store. It typically has to be ordered. The next part of this is, ow, damn. So the next part of this is we have to make sure that we have a consistent drip. So the next part of this is we need to make sure that we have a consistent drip. And as you guys can see, we have a beautiful flow. So he does not need brake hoses at all right now. Fluid is traveling from the hard line out of the rubber line, and it's just dripping out beautifully. And yes, we are catching it on a catch pan. So with that said, we just figured it out that the whole reason why he has a brake pulsation is because this caliper was staying applied. And because it stayed applied, it caused an overheat situation. And that overheat situation is what warped the rotor. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's finish this replacement. All right, so at this point, we're working with a 17. Yours could be an 18, 15. I've even seen 14. But go ahead and break it loose, just like that. Same thing on the bottom. Remember, you got 2. Awesome. And sometimes it's just faster to just use your hand and just wiggle the bracket and just back the bolt out by hand, unless you have an impact. I have an impact, but I'm doing it this way for you guys. All right, we'll put our bolts off to the side, nice and safe. All right, so let's just say we weren't replacing this bracket and we were going to reuse this bracket. That's when we would lift these clips and clean all the corrosion and all the rust out of that area. Because the goal here, if you're reusing this, you need to service and clean this so your pads move effortlessly in the bracket. That's very crucial. So I repeat, if you are reusing your brackets and your calipers, make sure you lift up these clips and you clean all that in there. Brake replacement tip, always make sure that you get a coated brake rotor. They ensure the longevity. You want the hat to be coated for aesthetics, but most importantly, you want the chimneys to be coated. These chimneys is what I call them. They're actually called vents. This is what's ventilating the heat out of this rotor, because obviously we need to expel the heat, right? So that's why they give us these vents, and that's why I call them chimneys, because they ventilate the heat. But most importantly, make sure they're coated. Here's another important tip when it comes to performing a front brake replacement or rear brake replacement. You guys see this hub here? We're going to clean this hub. If your hub looks like this, go ahead and clean it. The goal is to remove any rust that is lifted or scaled. Take your finger, run across it, and if you don't feel anything raised or lifted, I feel a little raise and lift right here. So we definitely got to clean this all up, because we want a nice mating surface, so that way when we put the rotor on, it goes on nice and straight. Don't skip that step. Awesome. So now that we have our brake rotor on, I always find it important to put a screw here. I mean, put a lug nut here. Obviously this vehicle doesn't have set screws, and now this lug nut is clearly too small. So what I'll do is I'll put my wrench here like this, and I'll use it as a spacer just to keep the rotor straight, just until I can get the bolts onto the bracket, and our bracket is in there. So let's go ahead and grab our brake caliper. Now, you always want to make sure that your brake bleeder is seated at the top. I could already tell this is the wrong one. Sometimes they're labeled, sometimes they're not. This one. So this is our brake caliper for the for the passenger side. So the passenger side, if you take a look, if we were to place this in here like this, our bleeder is always going to be fixed at the top, because obviously when we go to bleed the brake, we need the bleeder up top, or else we'll never be able to bleed these brakes, and he'll have a junk pedal. So always make sure that your bleeder is on the top. All right, so I'm going to teach you guys how to install a brand new brake caliper. So first thing you want to do is separate the caliper from the actual bracket. I recommend an impact. Awesome. So now that we have the bracket in our hand, it is absolutely crucial that we go ahead and install these shims. These are stainless steel shims, and this is what's going to help the pads movement in this bracket. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we don't install it with this point facing out like this. If you were to install that like that, that's wrong. Okay, now again, it doesn't matter which brake job you're doing, this rule is going to apply always, because like I said, if If you install it like this, that portion of that is gonna hit that rotor and you're gonna get an annoying brake noise for the rest of your life. And then you're not gonna be happy. Awesome. All right, we're in. Now at this point, we're gonna just slide our bracket on, and then we're gonna use our 2 bolts to remount this bad Larry. We're remounting. Awesome. Brake job's almost done, guys. You can do this. I know you can. You gotta save money. Times are tough, and I get it. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to try to help you guys out as best as I can. All right? I know you guys love these brake repair videos. You guys love the front end work, the brake work, and it seems like anytime I post an electrical diagnostic video with my multimeter, you guys never reply to it. You guys really, and that's okay, you know what I mean? I understand, like, if you don't understand what I'm doing or what I'm talking about, it's going to be very hard for you to, you know, to comment. But remember, commenting, liking, and sharing is how this page, this channel is going to grow. So if you find the video useful, please go ahead, like, share, and don't forget to comment. Awesome. So awesome. Now let's go ahead and let's take back our wrench. Now the whole reason why I like to keep the rotor straight is just in that initial threading of the caliper. I just want to make sure that those bolts are going to go in nice and straight, because you can cross thread them. And the one time I did cross thread it was because the rotor wasn't straight, and if the rotor wasn't straight, then the bracket's not going to be straight. Now some rotors have something called set screws that will do that for you, but most of you guys are going to destroy them anyway, so they're probably going to be useless for reinstallation, which is okay. All right, so boom, as long as it's nice and tight, can't turn anymore, you're good to go. Let's grab our brake pads. Today we're going to be using I've had really good luck with O'Reilly's Brake Best Premiums. I really have. The average Joe seems to be getting 40 to 55,000 out of this set. I do a combination of Wagner quick stops and this brand here. Great brand. I've been using these on and off for over 11 years, and I've had no problems. Well, I did have problems early on in the beginning of my career, and that's why I went to Wagner. But O'Reilly seems to have fixed that issue that they were having with the squeak. All right, so when you go in to install your brake pad, kind of want to go in at an angle like this. All right, and at the same time, you're going to want to push down and make sure that that ear gets caught, and all in one motion you're going to turn the pad in just like that. Now our goal here is just to confirm that this pad is moving effortlessly in this bracket. That is what is crucial. Again, awesome, it's in. Oh, just nope. Okay, now we're in. Perfect. Awesome. Now we're going to go ahead and install our brake caliper. It's much easier to do it in this order, just like this. Now go ahead, slide your caliper right on. Now catch your bolts. Got it. And now that they've been caught, go ahead and tie them down. Now you can use the proper torque spec if you like. Just go ahead, jump on Google, because you probably don't have all data like I do. But you just know after years and years of doing this. I've been doing this for 20 years, guys, so I already know what it's supposed to feel like. All right, so now we're gonna install our brake hose. Now go ahead and remove that. So how this is gonna work is you're going to put one of these copper washers here like this, then you're gonna put the other one in here like that. Sorry, we got a dog friend. And then you're gonna take your other copper washer and put it on this side, and you're just gonna connect it. And then you're gonna tighten it down to roughly 35 or 40 foot-pounds, depending on the manufacturer. Okay, 1 second, I just gotta close this up, it's leaking. Okay, so brake hose is in. We're gonna torque that down. I'm gonna show you how to bleed the brake now. All right, so it's that time to get into the gravity bleed. So at this point, you're gonna grab either an 11 or an 8 or a 10, whatever they give you. This one's gonna be an 8, and I'm not digging through my stuff right now, so we're just gonna use a good old vice grip. What we're doing is we're letting gravity do the work. We broke loose the bleeder. So now that this bleeder is broken loose, what we're doing, we're waiting for the fluid to go ahead, drip down the hose and fill the bore in the caliper. And as it's filling the bore and that fluid pressure is starting to rise, so does the air. The air is getting forced right out of that bleeder. And we're gonna see here in about a minute or so, you're gonna see a consistent drip. There it goes. Watch. You're gonna see a consistent drip. There it is. Now, the goal here is to monitor this drip for 45 seconds to 1 minute. And if we see this drip stop and then pick back up again, we're going to start the time over again. We're going to keep repeating that process until we have a nice clean drip, just like we're seeing here. So we're going to wait about another 30 seconds and just verify that the drip is consistent. And at the same time, we're just going to make sure our master brake cylinder does not go dry. If it goes dry, you're going to be in a big pickle. So obviously now go ahead, close your brake bleeder, jump in the vehicle, pump the brake pedal, and you should be good to go, guys. All right, guys, so listen, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead, like, comment, share, and I will catch you on the next one, my